Chapter 3681. Do you believe in fate? The Dragon Lake King barely escaped with its life, its body burned and bruised, looking quite pitiful. Fortunately, it was a king of a small spirit domain, with powerful strength and nourished by a primordial void treasure. The chaotic mist transformed into lake water, helping it recover somewhat. Initially, the Dragon Lake King thought it could seek revenge against Lin Moyu by asking the discernment beast to teach him a lesson. However, upon hearing the discernment beast's words, its spirit sank. The Dragon Lake King acted like a child, stubbornly saying,
"I won't apologize. I did nothing wrong."
The discernment beast's tone quickly turned severe.
"If you don't apologize, leave the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain from now on."
At that moment, the Dragon Lake King's expression was as rich as a human's, with eyes showing 7 parts grievance and 3 parts resentment. Eventually, it softened and apologized to Lin Moyu.
"I was wrong, sorry."
Lin Moyu didn't say anything, merely humming in acceptance of the apology. The Dragon Lake King was quite displeased, having cursed Lin Moyu countless times in its heart. However, it also deeply feared Lin Moyu and didn't dare look him straight in the eye. The discernment beast said,
"The child doesn't understand. Lin friend is magnanimous. Don't mind it anymore. I'll discipline it when we return."
Lin Moyu nodded and tossed out a spiritual flower.
"As long as it wasn't killed, it can be saved."
Hearing this, the Dragon Lake King shivered. It wasn't foolish and understood that Lin Moyu's words were telling the discernment beast to scold it thoroughly before using the spiritual flower to heal it.
"This person is so venomous."
The Dragon Lake King muttered to itself, its fear of Lin Moyu deepening. The discernment beast collected the spiritual flower.
"Thank you, Lin friend. I'll leave now."
It ordered the Dragon Lake King to return, and the Dragon Lake King was eager to leave, disappearing in an instant. Lin Moyu pondered.
"The discernment beast's attitude is overly kind. Previously, our interaction was equal. It neither looked down on me nor was overly submissive. What happened to make the discernment beast treat me so well?"
He roughly understood that the Dragon Lake King was the discernment beast's pet. The pet was bullied, yet the discernment beast wasn't angry and even apologized. This was somewhat unusual. However, Lin Moyu didn't dwell on it. There were too many inexplicable things in the world. His attention remained on the world's origin core, where the Soul Heart King was still battling the world's will. The Soul Heart King's will was firm, not falling behind in the struggle. It continuously launched attacks against the world's will. The world's will guarded its world tightly, and this was no longer a contest of power, but a test of the Soul Heart King's Tao heart. Lin Moyu could sense the Soul Heart King's powerful Tao heart, accumulated over countless years, almost becoming an obsession. For the Soul Heart King, this struggle was a matter of victory or death, with no room for defeat. When a powerful being no longer fears death, the power it can unleash is terrifying. The battle shifted from intense to stalemate, and then the Soul Heart King began to gain the upper hand. It started to erode the world's will, aiming to leave an eternal, indestructible mark on this world. Lin Moyu watched the entire process, aware that he was witnessing the birth of a transcendent being. In the history of the Void Realm, successful transcendence was rare, making this moment precious and not to be missed. The Soul Heart King gradually consumed the world's will, pushing it back until it had nowhere to retreat. Finally, the world's will's last resistance was crushed, and Lin Moyu felt the world's will collapse, becoming the Soul Heart King's sustenance. From that moment on, the Soul Heart King replaced the world's will, becoming the master of this world. The world's origin core roared, as massive chaotic mist rushed towards it. The surrounding great Tao energies vibrated, with various great Taos humming in celebration, as if cheering for the birth of a new era. The world hadn't changed, it just had a new master. The transition was like the world's rebirth, and the great Tao naturally rejoiced.
"History belongs to the victors."
Lin Moyu muttered to himself. No one would care about who the world belonged to before. Others would only know who the current master was. The chaotic mist wrapped around the great Tao energy, continuously flowing into the origin core. The entire world benefited from the Soul Heart King becoming stronger. As soon as the Soul Heart King became the world's master, it began to direct the world's changes. This world, once nameless, should now be called the Soul Heart World. A moment later, the Soul Heart King's virtual image appeared outside the origin core. It took on a human form and bowed to Lin Moyu from afar.
Thank you, Lin friend, for your assistance. This kindness will never be forgotten.
Lin Moyu flew over and said loudly,
Congratulations, Soul Heart King, on achieving your wish. This world will surely become powerful under your guidance.
The Soul Heart King shook its head.
Whether the world is strong or not, I have no great expectations. Everything has its destiny. The great Tao cannot be defied. Some things cannot be forced.
Lin Moyu furrowed his brow.
What do you mean by this?
The Soul Heart King suddenly sighed.
The transcendence we void beasts yearn for is actually just entering another circle. But to reach this point is already not easy, so I dare not ask for more. I'll just follow fate from now on.
Pondered for a moment before asking,
Lin friend, do you believe in fate?
Lin Moyu didn't expect this question and replied,
I both believe and don't believe.
The Soul Heart King chuckled.
It's good that you don't believe. Once you believe in fate, your achievements will be limited to that. The kindness you've shown me, I have no way to repay. Here is a strand of the world's energy, a token of my intention. I hope you won't mind it.
As it spoke, the Soul Heart King condensed a small light in its palm, which contained the most fundamental world's chronology. Lin Moyu felt this world's energy was very similar to the power in the world crystals he had refined before. Lin Moyu said,
This will harm your world.
The Soul Heart King smiled.
It doesn't matter. It can recover.
Lin Moyu didn't decline further and accepted the world's energy. This energy was far more powerful than the world crystals he had refined before. After all, those were from a dead world, while this one was full of vitality. The Soul Heart King said,
I've just taken over the world, and there's much to do. I won't accompany you further.
Lin Moyu bowed slightly.
Then we'll meet again if fate allows it. May we meet again.
The two bid farewell, and the world's origin core erupted with dense mist, completely obscuring itself. As a result, the origin core began to change its position, and the entire world started moving. Lin Moyu knew that this parting might be a permanent goodbye. He watched as the Soul Heart world receded into the distance, aware that their existence was like a grain in the vast ocean. To meet again would truly depend on fate. Lin Moyu's gaze was thoughtful. In their brief conversation, the Soul Heart King had revealed much information. Its pursuit of transcendence wasn't true transcendence, but rather moving from one circle to another. The Soul Heart King was telling him not to become a servant to the world like it had. Chapter 3682. Truly Brave.
Don't become the master of a world.
The Soul Heart King didn't say it explicitly, but Lin Moyu caught the true meaning from its words. Clearly, after becoming the world's master, the Soul Heart King had learned some new information. This information could be hidden deep within the world, only accessible to those who became the world's master. It wasn't like a large world, but had to be like the origin continent, with an independent great Tao and a massive projection in the void realm. Lin Moyu pondered the Soul Heart King's words, focusing on the phrase,
Do you believe in fate?
These 4 words were the most important. Gradually, he understood their meaning. The so-called
fate
wasn't about destiny, but rather about one's limit or potential. Potential was mysterious and complex, influenced by factors like fate, opportunity, effort, and Tao heart. Most people couldn't reach their full potential due to various reasons. Living beings had limits, and so did worlds. The Soul Heart King had hoped that after mastering the world, it would become incredibly strong. However, it saw its own limit, which was a despairing realization. Due to certain rules, the Soul Heart King couldn't express this openly, so it asked,
Do you believe in fate?
Lin Moyu naturally didn't believe in fate, as limits weren't unbreakable. However, once you believed in fate, your potential would hardly change. The Soul Heart King warned against becoming the world's master, but it didn't realize it was already a master of its own world. Its own world had no limits, or if it did, they were meant to be shattered. Since the Soul Heart King was well-intentioned, Lin Moyu accepted its warning.
No wonder the discernment beast never considers transcendence. Perhaps the emperors it associates with also don't consider it. Transcendence isn't true transcendence, but rather moving from a smaller circle to a larger one. Those who dare to transcend are truly brave. They refuse to be confined to a circle and dare to try.
Lin Moyu felt that the Soul Heart King was still brave. From its words, he could tell that it wasn't content with its potential and even thought about breaking through its limits. For such a person, how could one laugh at them as foolish? On the other hand, beings like the discernment beast, although powerful and ancient, seemed somewhat contemptible. Lin Moyu didn't linger and turned to leave. The Soul Heart King had achieved its wish, and he had his own things to attend to. He needed to continue cultivating. As a third-tier soul, he wasn't strong enough. After completing his mission on the Origin continent, he planned to accompany Antares in ascending to the dragon race's great Tao. The power of a third-tier soul was far from sufficient. Through his connection with the soul world, Lin Moyu knew everything was fine there. His journey into the Void Realm had already passed over 160 years. According to the Origin continent's evolution, in a few more decades, the seventh-tier soul's Great Tao realm would be accessible. By then, the strong from the external Great Tao would completely suppress the strong on the Origin continent. However, with him holding them back, there shouldn't be major issues. The top forces on the Origin continent all had some background from the external Great Tao, though they weren't strong. They could exert some influence and wouldn't dare act recklessly on the continent. But if time passed further, with the arrival of 6th or 5th-tier soul Great Tao realms, things might become unpredictable. Looking at the timeline, a few hundred years was just a blink of an eye. The tidal storm had just passed, and many void beasts in the Void Realm were still recovering from their losses. For Lin Moyu, luring and killing large numbers of void beasts had become more difficult, with efficiency greatly reduced. He went to unexplored small spirit domains, using his undead legion to attract void beasts, and then employing the 1,000 paths and myriad phenomena formation to trap and kill them, refining them into soul crystals. As his cultivation level increased, the demand for soul crystals grew more extreme. To advance a small realm, he needed at least tens of thousands of high-quality soul crystals. Lin Moyu felt the progress was too slow. He hadn't considered that reaching the level of a third-tier soul was rare even among ancient Great Tao realms, who wasn't a result of hundreds of millions of years of cultivation. Others had spent vast amounts of time to achieve their strength, while he had caught up in just a few hundred years. If people knew, they would probably want to kill him. On the Origin continent, after the heaven and earth changed, the Great Tao had evolved over 300 years, finally allowing third-tier soul Great Tao realms to enter. 6th-tier soul Great Tao realms were no longer weak. A casual strike could damage the Origin continent. Even after 300 years of Great Tao nourishment, the current Origin continent was much more robust than it was 300 years ago. However, it still couldn't withstand the reckless destruction of a 6th-tier soul Great Tao realm. Therefore, the Great Tao had its rules. If anyone dared to harm the Origin continent, the Great Tao's punishment would be severe. Those who entered as Great Tao realms mostly did so to pass on their teachings and wouldn't cause major conflicts. On the central continent, Lin Moyu remained, while Antares had been motionless for over 100 years, resembling a mountain. If not for the dragon breath constantly coming from its nostrils, people would have thought it was dead. The Great Tao realms from the external Great Tao coexisted peacefully, but the native forces on the Origin continent were not so tranquil. Many forces had always been at odds, and even with external pressure, they couldn't be suppressed indefinitely. After a period of calm, conflicts inevitably arose, starting with small-scale clashes that escalated into large-scale ones. Tao venerables joined the battles, expanding the conflict scale. Defeated forces sought aid from all sides, making the power dynamics on the Origin continent complex and intertwined like a spider's web. Finally, the top force's strong members intervened. However, they discovered that the smaller forces were not simple and had complex motives behind their conflicts. Some small forces, though not large in scale, had long-standing legacies and even had strong backers from the external Great Tao. With such support, they had their own ideas and sought to break free from the top force's control. The conflicts escalated towards the Great Tao realm level. Because the origin continent had become robust enough, 9th-tier Soul Great Tao realms could now act, as long as they didn't cause chaos. The Great Tao wouldn't impose punishment. Afterward, the origin continent became even more chaotic, with battles everywhere. Not just the southern continent, but also the eastern continent was affected. Eventually, even the northern continent's demon race began to fight among themselves. Many ancestors from the demon race returned from the external Great Tao, and several royal families were suppressed. The demon emperor didn't appear during this time, seemingly no longer concerned with demon race affairs. On the other hand, the western continent became the most peaceful. The origin continent was in turmoil, but everyone exercised restraint, avoiding a complete mess. Until 10 years ago, when the Coldwater Holy Land and the Question Tao sect officially went to war, the situation truly boiled over. Following this, the 7-star Holy Land and the Dance House also clashed. The human race on the southern continent suffered heavy casualties, with many strong figures severely injured or fallen. Overall, however, a relative balance was maintained. A year ago, a protective Great Tao fortress slowly emerged from the external Great Tao. Due to special reasons, the external Great Tao didn't stop the protective fortress. Chapter 3683. You can all try. A protective Great Tao fortress suddenly appeared in the void and slowly entered the origin continent. Its appearance drew the attention of many, with numerous Great Tao realms revealing shocked expressions.
The protective fortress wasn't completely destroyed during the origin catastrophe? Who repaired it? This isn't important. What matters is how it entered. The core materials of the protective fortress come from the origin continent, making it a part of the continent. Naturally, it wouldn't be blocked. At its peak, the protective fortress's strength wouldn't be much weaker than a 4th-tier Soul's Great Tao realm. If it's truly been repaired, wouldn't it be invincible? What's invincible? You don't see the dragon in the central continent. Who dares say they're invincible? It's different. The protective fortress can be considered part of the origin continent. Attacking it is like attacking the continent itself. Yes, even if that dragon is powerful, it wouldn't dare attack the protective fortress, or it would face punishment. Whoever came up with this plan is brilliant. This has completely disrupted the balance of power on the origin continent. If the balance on the origin continent is broken, even if Lin Moyu has the mandate of heaven, he won't be able to avoid punishment.
Amidst these discussions, people wanted to see how Lin Moyu would respond. No matter what he did, it seemed difficult to resolve the situation. The person who could repair the protective fortress must not be ordinary. People instinctively thought of the Hell Alliance, as they had suffered a significant loss at Lin Moyu's hands and vowed to make him pay. Antares watched the protective fortress enter the origin continent, his eyes narrowing slightly.
You're looking for trouble before I even go find you.
He was unlike ordinary Great Tao realms. He sensed the dragon race's aura from the protective fortress. This fortress was repaired by the dragon race, meaning it was aimed at him. If he didn't act, the protective fortress had enough power to disrupt the balance on the origin continent. Regardless of its actions or allegiance, the balance would be shattered, damaging the origin continent and resulting in Lin Moyu being punished. If he acted, it would be like attacking the origin continent, and he would be punished instead. This plan was indeed vicious. Antares said coldly,
"Do you think I care about this small punishment?"
He breathed out dragon breath, and countless divine dragons emerged, instantly engulfing the protective fortress. The Great Tao roared, and the fortress radiated a brilliant light, unleashing powerful energy. As the main defense of the origin continent in the past, the protective fortress was incredibly strong. Even though it was far weaker now, it wouldn't be inferior to a lower-tier Soul's Great Tao realm. The formations within the fortress activated, launching a counterattack. However, Facing Antares' assault, the fortress was clearly no match and was torn to shreds in an instant. Antares continued to breathe dragon fire, burning the entire fortress to ashes. The great Tao roared incessantly, and streaks of light appeared on the origin continent, resembling rainbows but emitting a sharp killing intent. Antares had destroyed the protective fortress, effectively attacking the origin continent. The great Tao would impose punishment. Antares raised his dragon head, unafraid.
Come on, let's see how severe this punishment is.
The light transformed into massive whips that struck Antares, causing his skin to split and reveal wounds from which origin chi flowed out. Under the great Tao's punishment, Antares' power was diminishing. Yet he remained unmoved. He declared loudly,
"You scoundrels in the dragon race, listen well. We have another score to settle. When I come, you'd better be prepared to die. I'll give you a chance. If you escape the dragon race before I arrive, I'll spare you. Anyone still in the dragon race will die."
Antares' voice was filled with madness, and he charged into the external great Tao. Everyone was shocked by the intensity of his killing intent and the depth of his hatred for the dragon race. Hatred can accumulate, and Antares' hatred was something few could understand, except perhaps Lin Moyu. Just as everyone felt Antares' killing intent was astonishing, an even more overwhelming killing aura surged up. The aura transformed into black mist and then into a stormy vortex, dispersing the great Tao whips. Along with it, a great Tao emerged, resonating with the killing aura. This great Tao appeared, causing nearby great Tao realm strongholds to retreat in terror.
The slaughtered Tao. Heaven, someone has actually grasped this Tao. How many lives will they take? The slaughtered Tao hasn't appeared in years. Could it be that a killing god has descended? Even the thousand-star Tao Lord, who controls the slaughter aspect of the Angle Whale Star, couldn't summon the slaughtered Tao.
As the great Tao realms watched in horror, Lin Moyu slowly emerged. A dense killing aura emanated from Lin Moyu, and everyone realized he was the source of the aura and the one who summoned the slaughtered Tao. Lin Moyu waved his hand, and the killing aura merged with the slaughtered Tao. A figure in black appeared in the void, standing with its hands behind its back. Its gaze swept across the external void, causing a chill to run down the spines of all the great Tao realms it touched. Lin Moyu used his illusory body to combine all his killing aura with the slaughter Tao, forming a slaughter-controlling avatar. This avatar possessed the strength of a third-tier soul's great Tao realm, enough to crush anyone on the current origin continent. Lin Moyu released a burst of white light that fell like rain on Antares, quickly healing his gruesome wounds. In the next breath, a massive aura of fate emerged from Lin Moyu, and the fate Tao appeared, enveloping Antares in misty clouds. Antares let out a comfortable dragon roar as his damaged strength and cultivation were fully restored. Lin Moyu declared loudly,
"The dragon race's actions are meant to hinder my path, creating a deep blood feud. This feud can only be repaid in blood. Once the mandate of heaven ends, I will visit the dragon race. There are many protective fortresses. If the dragon race likes to repair them, they can repair as many as they want."
As he finished speaking, the great Tao energy on the origin continent surged upward, impacting the external void. Originally hidden in spatial layers, numerous protective fortresses appeared. These fortresses were diverse and damaged, but all carried the origin continent's aura, as they were crafted from materials from the continent. Hundreds of protective fortresses hovered in the external void. Lin Moyu declared,
"Whoever repairs them will be my great Tao enemy. You can all try."
He then looked towards the distant southern continent.
"The southern continent is too chaotic. Stop it."
His words seemed to represent the mandate of heaven, as countless thunderbolts fell from the southern continent, his voice spreading with the thunder. Those fighting on the southern continent stopped, but not everyone heeded Lin Moyu's words. Some resumed fighting, only to be struck by thunderbolts and turned to dust. Lin Moyu watched all this, snorting lightly.
"Those who don't listen deserve it."
Chapter 3684, Private Intentions. No one knew what had happened to Lin Moyu, how he became so formidable in just a few hundred years. He dispersed the Great Tao's punishment with killing aura, condensed a Great Tao body, and spoke with authority, unleashing thunderous punishments. At this moment, Lin Moyu was like a representative of the Great Tao. Everyone was shocked, and anyone with a bit of sense could feel that Lin Moyu was not to be trifled with. Having the mandate of heaven, Lin Moyu could manipulate the Great Tao to some extent. If one were to confront him directly, it would be like opposing the Great Tao itself. For cultivators under the Great Tao, going against it was akin to seeking death. The Great Tao roared, and the light reappeared, with another punishment descending. This time, the punishment targeted Lin Moyu for dispersing the previous Great Tao punishment aimed at Antares. The Great Tao is impartial. It rewards and punishes accordingly, never offsetting one with the other. Lin Moyu understood this clearly and accepted it calmly. He had used killing aura to summon the Slaughter Tao, dispersing the Great Tao's punishment and condensing a Great Tao body. Now, the Great Tao's punishment fell upon the Slaughter Tao's body, not his true self. Lin Moyu's mind was clear. He knew that while the Great Tao seemed impartial, it wasn't truly so. If someone else had done this, their true body would have been targeted, not just their avatar. But the Great Tao targeted his avatar, which could be seen as protection, since he was now aligned with the Great Tao. The light transformed into Great Tao whips that struck the Slaughter Tao body, causing its skin to split and flesh to tear. Lin Moyu allowed the Slaughter Tao body to suffer the punishment without penalty, as the killing aura was merely a byproduct of his actions over the years. The Slaughter Tao body being torn apart didn't harm him. Antares gazed at Lin Moyu.
Kid, you're impressive. What have you experienced these years?
Only Antares could see Lin Moyu's cultivation level, which had reached the high stage of a third-tier soul's Great Tao realm. This speed was terrifying, surpassing others who had cultivated for millions of years. Lin Moyu smiled without speaking. With a thought, he began drawing divine runes in the void, creating over 100 at once. Initially, the speed was somewhat slow, but it quickly accelerated. The first 100 runes were completed in under 10 seconds, combining to form an formation. The next 100 runes were drawn even faster, taking only 7 seconds. The third batch required just 4 seconds. Antares' dragon mouth hung open in astonishment, unable to speak. His surprise was akin to fear in others' eyes. Drawing divine runes wasn't unusual. Many Great Tao realms could do it to some extent. However, drawing hundreds simultaneously was different. Moreover, Lin Moyu didn't even use his hands. He drew them purely with his soul power, and his speed increased. By the time he drew the fourth batch, it took only 1 second. This was almost as fast as
one thought forms a rune.
A legendary feat. Someone exclaimed.
He can form runes with just a thought. It's almost as if he's achieved one thought forms a rune. Not quite, but he needs only 1 second. Moreover, he can draw hundreds of runes at once, which is even more terrifying. Is he a freak? Divine runes can be used like this? One thought forms a rune is already legendary, but he's almost achieved forming 100 runes with one thought. Those who specialize in divine runes can just retire.
1,000 divine runes glimmered in the air, weaving into a sea of runes. Lin Moyu finally stopped. Antares asked,
"What are you doing?"
Lin Moyu replied lightly,
"Just getting accustomed to things. The void realm and the real world are different. I'm also showing off a bit to warn some people not to bother me for now. I need to set up in formation."
One action, multiple purposes. The divine runes intertwined, quickly forming an formation. In an instant, winds and clouds rose on the origin continent, as countless Great Tao energies transformed into mist and were drawn into the formation, enveloping Lin Moyu and Antares. This formation was a simplified version of the 1,000 Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation. Although its power wasn't as great as the one in the Void Realm, it was enough to handle a second-tier soul's Great Tao realm. As the Great Tao on the origin continent evolved, every 100 years, the power it could accommodate increased by 1 level. Currently, 6th-tier Soul Great Tao realms could enter, and in another 400 years, 2nd-tier Soul Great Tao realms would be able to descend. By then, even Antares would face trouble, as acting on the origin continent wasn't easy. Causing damage would result in punishment. However, with the 1,000 Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation, there would be fewer concerns, allowing full use of the formation to counter opponents. This formation was not only Lin Moyu's deterrent but also an experiment. He didn't use origin crystals as materials. Instead, he used his soul power to absorb Great Tao energy and maintain the divine runes. From his current perspective, using origin crystals for divine runes wasn't the most brilliant method. The best approach was to fuse Great Tao energy with his soul, making the divine rune materials inexhaustible and highly effective. This was Lin Moyu's insight from the Void Realm, which he confirmed was applicable on the origin continent after trying it. After setting up the 1,000 Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation, Lin Moyu crafted an formation disk and handed it to Antares.
When I'm not here, please control this formation. If the Great Tao imposes a punishment, you can also manipulate my slaughter body to take the punishment.
Lin Moyu looked up at the sky. The Great Tao whips were becoming fewer, and the punishment was nearing its end. The slaughter body recovered, its killing aura intangible and difficult to break. Antares asked,
"How long do you plan to stay?"
Lin Moyu shook his head.
"I don't know. I've hit a bottleneck, and this step is difficult."
Antares said,
"Reaching the 2nd-tier soul from the 3rd-tier soul is a big bottleneck?"
He recalled that he hadn't faced such a significant hurdle in the past. Although it wasn't easy, it wasn't insurmountable. Lin Moyu could reach the high stage of a 3rd-tier soul in just a few hundred years. How could he be stuck? Lin Moyu replied,
"My situation is special. It's hard to explain in a few words. After handling things here, I'll re-enter the Void Realm."
Antares asked,
"What do you need to handle here?" "Apart from some native forces, those from the external Great Tao are relatively well-behaved and haven't caused any trouble."
Lin Moyu said,
"People have private intentions. The Cold Water Holy Land's ancestor is my friend, and the Holy Lord is my aunt. There are things I need to help with."
Antares chuckled.
"So that's it. You've always been like this, leaving your mark everywhere, and it hasn't changed even on the origin continent."
Lin Moyu didn't bother explaining. The dragon race was completely different from him in this regard. The 1,000 Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation rose with dense mist, spreading Great Tao energy and enveloping the surroundings, hiding their figures. Only Antares' dragon head was faintly visible. With the formation blocking the way, no one could see Lin Moyu's cultivation level or know what he would do next. Chapter 3685, He Wants to Kill. Lin Moyu's return was indeed due to encountering a bottleneck. After the Soul Heart King's Transcendence, he had been hunting void beasts in the Golden Furnace Great Soul domain. Due to the Golden Furnace Emperor's warning, Lin Moyu no longer targeted small spirit domain kings. However, since the tidal storm had just ended, many small spirit domains were not in a state of dormancy. When he encountered such small spirit domains, Lin Moyu wouldn't hesitate and would directly take them over. He now controlled nearly 50 small spirit domains. However, they were too far apart, separated by other small spirit domains, so they couldn't be merged and didn't benefit Lin Moyu. His cultivation had grown stronger through the process of slaughtering void beasts and refining soul crystals. In just over 100 years, he had advanced to the high stage of a 3rd-tier soul. However, no matter how many soul crystals he refined, he couldn't progress further. Finally, he returned to the Soul Heart King's small spirit domain. Since the Soul Heart King had transcended, the domain was now ownerless and close enough to merge with his own domains. Lin Moyu naturally became the king of the Soul Heart small spirit domain and merged it with his own. After merging, his soul power increased slightly but not enough to help him break through to the 2nd-tier soul. Lin Moyu realized he had hit a bottleneck. He then returned to his soul world and used the Fate Tao to simulate and ponder his bottleneck. He meditated for nearly 50 years in his soul world and finally found some clues. Actually, he had returned 50 years ago and was aware of recent events on the origin continent. He knew his deterrent effect would weaken over time until it disappeared completely. Moreover, those from the external Great Tao would certainly continue to cause trouble. The appearance of the protective fortresses was quite normal. He wasn't afraid of strong enemies, but rather those hiding in the shadows like invisible snakes, ready to strike unexpectedly. If these snakes were out in the open, they wouldn't be as dangerous. So, Lin Moyu used the Great Tao's power to reveal all the protective fortresses, putting everything out in the open. He wanted his enemies to come at him openly, without resorting to underhanded tactics. Lin Moyu shared his thoughts with Antares and then left, using the Great Tao's temporary authority. Under the cover of the Thousand Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation, no one except Antares knew Lin Moyu had departed. Lin Moyu appeared above the southern continent, where a massive city lay below. Snowflakes fell from the sky, and Lin Moyu's figure blended with them, making his presence unknown. From the city below, countless voices reached his ears.
The Cold Water Holy Land and the Question Tao sect are fighting more fiercely. The battlefield spans tens of thousands of miles, and several cities have been reduced to ruins. It's true, the Cold Water Holy Land evacuated its people early, but the Question Tao sect suffered greatly. The ordinary people are being slaughtered. The Question Tao sect has 6 large cities and 13 small ones, with over 16 million people, not a single one alive. Alas, when gods fight, mortals suffer. Those people are truly pitiful. I don't know when this great war will end. It's said the Question Tao sect intentionally let these people die. They're preparing a secret ritual. If successful, the Cold Water Holy Land will be severely damaged.
Lin Moyu moved to another city and heard more voices. The southern continent had been extremely unstable over the past few decades, with constant conflicts between various forces. From small skirmishes among minor forces to intense battles between major ones, many cultivators had died. However, more ordinary people were killed, caught in the crossfire with casualties impossible to count. The Cold Water Holy Land took care of its ordinary people, evacuating them in advance, which reduced casualties. In contrast, forces like the Question Tao sect treated lives as worthless and didn't care. They even used ordinary people to perform secret rituals, employing extremely vicious methods. Since these people were native to the origin continent, no matter how they died, it was considered an internal affair, and the Great Tao wouldn't intervene. However, Lin Moyu would intervene because he was human and had personal feelings. He sided with the Cold Water Holy Land.
According to my calculations, the bottleneck comes from 2 sources. First, it's karma. Unresolved karma forms a chain, influencing me from the depths. Second, it's the Great Thousand Worlds. As their master, if the Great Thousand Worlds aren't strong or perfect enough, it creates a bottleneck.
Over 50 years, Lin Moyu simulated and found many reasons. The second reason was highly likely but difficult to resolve. As for whether it was the first reason, he would try to sever karma. If it worked, he would know. Severing karma didn't mean cutting off emotions or righteousness. It could be done in various ways. He had once spared the Question Tao sect, which left lingering issues. Many people died because of the Question Tao sect, and although their deaths weren't directly related to him, Lin Moyu felt some karma was involved. If he had destroyed the Question Tao sect back then, those people might not have died. Of course, the karma Tao was unpredictable. Perhaps they would have died for other reasons, but it wouldn't have been connected to him. This time, to verify if his bottleneck was related to karma, Lin Moyu decided to try something. His method was simple: completely eradicate the Question Tao sect and sever karma. If severing karma eased his bottleneck, it would prove his speculation was correct. If not, he would try other methods. Lin Moyu arrived at the border between the Cold Water Holy Land and the Question Tao sect, where the land had been ravaged by continuous battles. The origin spiritual veins of both sides clashed, destroying the terrain, turning it into a desolate wasteland. Nearby cities were in ruins, and even the local spirit beasts had died out. Lin Moyu felt the countless vengeful spirits calling out, as many people had died here. Cultivators who came here would feel oppressed and uncomfortable. The Time Dao's power resonated, and Lin Moyu pointed a finger.
Time reversal.
The Time Dao cast a shadow, replaying past events. During the war, the Question Dao sect had disregarded ordinary people, watching them die. Afterward, the Question Dao sect's disciples used artifacts to absorb the souls, intending to use these soul-filled artifacts for a malicious secret ritual. Lin Moyu knew the Question Dao sect's legacy came from the external Great Dao, and naturally, those from the external Great Dao wouldn't care about ordinary people on the origin continent. It was normal for them to do such things.
I take responsibility for the karma that has led to the deaths of countless people. I will kill to sever karma, without questioning right or wrong.
Lin Moyu declared to the heavens, using his identity to inform the Great Dao that he was going to kill. Lin Moyu transformed into a streak of light, rushing towards the Question Dao sect. Chapter 3686. He won't live long. At the Coldwater Holy Land's frontline base, all the strong members were gathered. Gu Hanjing sat at the forefront with Gu Hanyu, the ancestor of the Coldwater Holy Land, beside her. Although Gu Hanyu held the highest position and was the strongest, he still yielded the first seat to Gu Hanjing. The reason was simple. Gu Hanjing was Lin Moyu's aunt. Just because of this, no one dared to take her seat. Even if she were just an ordinary person, everyone would respectfully let her sit on the master's throne. Gu Hanjing said,
Recently, a sixth-tier soul can enter the origin continent. The Question Dao sect's strongest ancestor has arrived.
The faces of the Coldwater Holy Land members turned serious. The Question Dao sect's ancestor had descended with a sixth-tier soul cultivation, putting immense pressure on them. This was a tricky problem, as Gu Hanyu was only a seventh-tier soul, and even at the high stage, he was still inferior to a sixth-tier soul. The balance of power between the two sides was disrupted, making the Coldwater Holy Land's situation difficult. Gu Hanyu said,
I can form an alliance with Old Tree to handle the Question Dao sect's Dao Lord, but apart from him, the Question Dao sect has another Dao Lord.
Gu Hanjing added,
That Dao Lord, Xiu, is an eighth-tier soul. Although our ancestors, Sang and Bing, are ninth-tier souls, they can exert their full strength on the origin continent, but Xiu cannot. So, we can still handle him. The problem is that we've entangled the Question Dao sect's great Dao realms, and our ninth-tier Dao Venerable isn't enough. According to intelligence, the Question Dao sect is preparing a secret ritual that uses 1,000,000 dead souls as a catalyst. Once successful, it will pose a threat to us. We want to stop them, but the Question Dao sect has a sixth-tier soul ancestor holding down the fort, and our actions have ended in failure. So, I plan to launch a full-force attack on the Question Dao sect before they complete the ritual, even if it means paying some costs.
Gu Hanyu said,
I know about the Question Dao sect's ritual, called the Wanling Sacrificial Soul. It's an ancient curse technique, truly sinister and powerful. Once cursed, the consequences range from a significant drop in cultivation to the destruction of the soul. This technique isn't targeted at individuals. Its scope is vast enough to cover a large area of our holy land, even affecting the origin spiritual veins. I agree with Gu Hanjing's approach. Even if it means paying some costs, we must stop them.
Gu Hanjing continued,
If we fail to stop them, I'll go find my brother-in-law.
She didn't want to bother Lin Moyu unless absolutely necessary. If it really didn't work out, she would have to muster the courage to ask for his help. After all, he was her brother-in-law. Just then, a voice came.
Brother Gu Hanyu, the Question Dao sect's secret ritual has started.
Everyone was shocked and immediately flew out to observe from afar. 10,000 miles away, a black cloud rose, filled with the cries of countless vengeful spirits. The wails grew louder, and even these cultivators felt a deep sense of unease. The Question Dao sect was using 1,000,000 souls to perform a powerful secret ritual, aiming to turn the Coldwater Holy Land into a land of ghosts. Gu Hanjing's expression turned serious.
It seems they completed it so quickly. Did our information go wrong?
Gu Hanyu said,
Perhaps they feared delays would lead to changes, so they launched it early. The power isn't as strong as it would be at its peak, but it's still sufficient. If this ritual explodes within our Holy Land's range, all living beings within 100 million miles will be affected. But now it's too late to stop it. It seems we can only do our best and leave the rest to fate.
The Question Dao sect's strong members stood before the black cloud, ready to block anyone who approached. At this moment, Gu Hanjing thought for a moment.
Ancestor, please lead some of the elders to block them. I'll go find my brother-in-law.
Just as she finished speaking, Old Tree's voice floated in.
No need to go. Lin Moyu is already here.
Lin Moyu appeared in the sky, his clear voice echoing across the heavens.
The Question Dao sect, using 1,000,000 lives as sacrifices, has lost all humanity. Today I, Lin Moyu, will use the mandate of heaven to settle the karma between the Question Dao sect and the heavens. After today, the Question Dao sect will cease to exist.
He waved his hand, and the world-burning fire exploded, transforming into a sea of flames that descended upon the land. The world-burning fire officially displayed its power on the origin continent, illuminating the southern continent. In an instant, the Question Dao sect disciples screamed incessantly. Some weaker Dao venerables had their souls extinguished, their bodies turning to ash in the fire. The stronger ones used artifacts to resist, but they couldn't last long. The two great Dao realms in the Question Dao sect fought against the world-burning fire, but their efforts were minimal. They couldn't save anyone, not even themselves. The black cloud formed by the Wanling sacrificial soul ritual quickly withered in the flames. Lin Moyu's arrival was like a heavenly decree, unleashing the world-burning fire mercilessly, giving the Question Dao sect no chance. He made it clear that he came to kill, not to reason. The flames reached the sky, drawing the attention of numerous external great Dao realms.
Is that Lin Moyu? When did he go to the southern continent? He said he would destroy the Question Dao sect. This is an internal conflict on the origin continent. Why should he care? He's relying on the mandate of heaven to do as he pleases. Does the great Dao really not intervene? Lin Moyu's authority is too great. He controls everything. Now, what level has he reached? He seems to have grown much stronger again.
Some people used artifacts to check Lin Moyu's cultivation level. Lin Moyu moved his mind, and with a thought, several divine runes flew out, exploding in the air. Those who tried to observe Lin Moyu's cultivation had their artifacts shattered, revealing nothing. In the midst of the fire, the Question Dao sect's ancestor and Dao Lord charged out, roaring.
Lin Moyu, I'll fight you to the death.
Lin Moyu casually threw a punch, unleashing a powerful force that shook the void. Countless fists rained down on the Dao Lord like a storm. The Dao Lord's body exploded on the spot, his soul screaming as it was blown into the fire. Lin Moyu's punch killed the 6th-tier soul Dao Lord, demonstrating that he had the power to kill any external great Dao realm on the origin continent. This punch was also a warning to everyone. Behave or face death. The onlookers shared the same thought. Lin Moyu never used words to reason. He spoke with strength, killing those who were dissatisfied. This approach made many people uncomfortable.
Now he's being so domineering with the mandate of heaven, but once it ends, he will surely die. That's right. Several Dao Lords will take action. Even if he has several Dao Lords backing him, they can protect him for a while, but not forever. Heaven will make him crazy before his downfall. He won't live long.